E by the Kenya Film Classification Board. It is therefore suitable for general family viewing.
Hello viewer, welcome to Chungu Jamii. My name is Betty. I am your host today, and I am so excited that I have a lady and gentleman who are going to be telling us the things that we probably don't want to hear land on our ears softly. We have entertainment as an industry in our country, and we really feel good to be entertained, and we love to be in the audience or when being entertained. But who counsels our entertainers? These guys have a kind of lifestyle that you probably question when they come to you asking for stuff. So today I have these guests who are going to be introducing themselves, and then they will take us through this topic. You're most welcome. I will start with the lady.
Thank you very much, Betty. My name is Ngini Nasongo, a counseling psychologist. I do a lot of stuff with counseling. And of course, when it comes to supporting Kenyans and human beings in general, I enjoy working with people I can relate with. And it feels very, very good.
Wow.
Thank you.
Most welcome. And the dude.
My name is Kiari Monge. Again, thank you very much once again, Betty, for the kind invite. I am a one-time performing artist, as I've said it here. I am also in the space of the youth, and I'm also in the space of the boy child. And on matters counseling and psychosocial support, I am also part of the people who are going to learn today from my auntie Ngini. Thank you.
Wow, wow. Welcome, guys. Nice to have you.
Thank you.
I'm glad to hear what you do, Kiari. Ngini, what do you do apart from counseling?
Oh, I'm also a trainer. In our circles, we call each other trainers, but you can also call me a teacher. There are those who say teacher. So I teach those who want to become counselors, okay? And I'm also what we call a counselor supervisor, meaning those counselors who go to the field to work and experience challenges with their clients come to me and share with me their challenges, and then I support them with that. I'm also, what sometimes I feel funny saying that I'm a sex therapist, and people ask me, do you teach them how to do it? That's a very long subject, but yes, that's what I also do. And I work a lot with people going through addiction or recovery, people in addiction recovery. And it's quite a big thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to have you too, Ngini. We have been talking about the entertainment industry, and we have spoken to quite a number of them. And as you spoke, there are things that were so outstanding, and you could see that there's such a struggle. Especially the people in our entertainment industry here in the country. You know, we hear of someone rising like this today, and the next day they're down here. So when I spoke to them, I had things like likes and love come about. And I was also concerned that some of them now get to the streets or get to social media, and they're asking us for help. And you know, these guys don't work for stones. They actually work for money. So they do the gig and they're paid. But we don't see the money. We don't see the results of this pay or of their lives. We don't find them. I know that in all fields, people have challenges. Even the engineers, there are those that struggle. But you see, that is engineering, and that's something that you would swap and somebody else will take your place. But being that you're an artist, this is talent, this is passion, this is something that no one can take out from you, no one can copy. So it is you, you know. So what happens that these guys are unable to manage themselves before we get to the financials?
Wow, thank you very much, Betty. This reminds me, just let me deviate kidogo. This reminds me of a session I had recently with journalists, you know, mass media people. And honestly, some of them didn't realize that they are traumatized. And they were saying, you know, we see these things almost every day, and some of us have gotten accustomed to it. We don't get accustomed to trauma. What happens is that you just numb. Why? Because there's no time for you to vent. There is no time for you to talk about it. Because, Betty, the news that we watch has already been sieved. You know?
Yeah.
But who has sieved it? That journalist.
Yes.
He saw raw blood. He was there. He witnessed everything. So what we are seeing is something totally different. And then tomorrow he wakes up to something like that. Now, there is no time for them to even go and talk to somebody and say, I'm feeling this. So what happens? This person continues having this accumulated trauma in them. Then at some point, you see them starting to talk to themselves, and people are like, what happened to this guy? See, he looks flashy. He's always looking so good. So back to what you're asking me. People forget that when we see that person on the screen acting, dancing and doing whatever they are doing, there is so much that goes on behind the scenes. Okay? There's that prepping, there's that preparation in the background.
Yes.
What do they go through? A lot of auditioning, which creates a lot of anxiety, right? A lot of preparation, other preparations, a lot of that, rehearsals, they go through so much. Because I was once an actor, and the director saying, do that, do that, do that. And
You've been an actress before?
Yes, I was in high school, and I was actually the best national actress, but I'm not talking about it. Anyway.
No, you need to tell us a little bit about that. Because today we look at you and you seem to have made it and overcome, and we haven't seen you asking us for a shilling or
no, because that now did not become my area. Of course,
I don't mean all of them do ask,
yes.
but there are those that just go numb, as you said, and go silent, and you don't hear about them anymore, and it's because they probably never spoke about it.
Yes.
But the reality is, not everyone gives feedback. A few would show up and say, "Hey guys, it's really hard," and others would just go and you hear they were buried.
Yeah, my experience is that when you're acting, it's not like you will always get a job, because it goes by jobs, yeah? Today there is a job, tomorrow there isn't. It's so sporadic. Actually, they say it's very, very unreliable. Yeah. So today you're earning, and because I saw you on TV and you want to live like the Kardashians, you're going to buy the most expensive thing in town, you understand? And you're looking so flashy and all this thing. And there is actually a verse in the Bible that says, I think it's 1 John chapter 5, verse 1 or thereabout. It says, when you start getting money, or when you have so much, there are so many other people who want to share that with you. And now, because you are in the limelight, everybody becomes your friend. And because you want to maintain that, you want to splash. You want, But for how long will you maintain this? Remember, we are saying these jobs are very sporadic. Today there is, tomorrow there isn't. Okay? And because you may stay for almost a year without that money, and you had moved to Lavington, where are you going to get money to pay this rent?
You're going to move back to...
How do I even move back to Madara? You get, that is now where the challenge is. If I meet Kiari, in fact, I'll be avoiding that route because I'm likely to meet him. So by and by, this person slips into what you call depression, you understand? And that's why they'll be on the streets, and they'll take to some comfortable way of dealing with that stress by taking alcohol, okay? Unhealthy methods of managing their stress or coping. So, they just dwindle away like that. Now, if a job comes, who wants to engage someone like that? They will not come for you. And you're also so embarrassed, so ashamed to even go and ask because of the state in which you come. So what I'm saying in short is that when people are getting into this kind of life, some of them happen, there's what we call happiness. It just happened. I found myself in the right place at the right time, and I landed this job. You have done it. Next time, another person comes who is even better than you, so you don't get that job. Okay? So we are saying, once you get into this, have you been prepared mentally for what is likely to happen? And that is what how counseling comes in. Can we prepare you before, during, and after? Because there's always an after. Like we've said, this thing is very unreliable. Today there is, tomorrow there isn't. Today you feel like you're very good, tomorrow another better person comes. And we are saying it's about happiness. Sometimes it's not so much about skill and talent. You just happen to be there. And you got it, you understand? So me and my talent, what am I going to do? And then I'm aware of this, and really I'm not even ashamed to say there is an element of discrimination also, Like sometimes they may favor a man more than a woman, or they favor a woman more than a man, and stuff like that. So you are very good at what you're doing, but...
Gender.
Yeah, gender. There is that element of gender discrimination, stuff like that, or biasness. So quite a lot comes into play. So this person goes through so much that they feel like, I can't face the world anymore. The little I had, I just blew it. Yeah. How do I start, and where do I start from? Yeah.
Kiare, you have been in that industry.
Yeah.
And when I listen to Guinea, I'm trying to get the pressure behind the screens, before you guys show up to entertain us, there's so much pressure, there's auditions you've got to prepare for. And people don't understand that that is what you have to go through. Our expectation as the viewer is that you need to give us the very best. Our expectation is that you guys earn the most. Our expectation is that that is who you are, as in you always shine. You are just the best, you know. What happens to you when you step out of that screen?
One, and I was talking to Ngini earlier, there is also the character divide. The character you see on TV is not necessarily the character outside. So the learning how to draw thin line is actually by itself a problem. Number two, there is also what is called the society pressure. The first pressure, it's you. It's internal. It's you yourself. On screen, you're called Mr. Akoto, Baba Almasi. Outside, you're called Kiari. In the house, you're called Baba Fariji. Now, cutting that line across. Number two, it's the society pressure. Number three, then the norms, what people call the norms. How are you supposed to behave outside now that you have become a screen person? There are certain standards that are set. Now you cannot be seen hanging out at certain places, for example. You cannot, not that you cannot, there's that norm now, then, or you cannot now start seeing Ngini at River Road, we need to see her at Galleria. So those are the norms.
We don't see her in a matatu.
We don't see her in a matatu.
If she can't drive, she's
So I know
on
she's
an
struggling
Uber.
with Uber, so she'd rather struggle with the Uber na patapotea haba na haba than get into a matatu. So those norms, they're the ones that start affecting. The last one, it's also the age group. The age group that you start. They're what you call child actors, for example, which, imagine the pressure which I've just said about an average, let's say over 18, actor/actress, or high school. It is twice as much for a school-going child who Monday morning is not the champ in class, is not the rock star, is not the Mr. Handsome lover boy in high school. Because, after all, he's not on screen. So the pressures now build up from behind. They're actually twice as much for the child at home. Then we go to gender. So this thing about male, people say it's a male-dominated industry. Other people say women make the best out of it. So in between those conversations, some things fall. One of them is relationships and marriages. They slip through. Because one, I'm looking at my wife on screen. She's kissing another man. It's her scene on screen. And I'm trying to reconcile the two. I'm a neighbor. So the other pressures that I have, which are not related to on screen, I bring it to her. When she goes for counseling, she's told to come with me, for example. I refuse. Because patriarchal African man does not follow women. And Guinea is smiling because she knows that.
Guinea, those are some of the challenges you've got to deal with. Because usually when someone comes alone, then you're like, you need to hear the other side of the story.
Yes.
Is that usually a norm? Does it really happen? Who follows their wives to come for counseling on an issue that they don't feel is a problem at all?
In fact, it's very interesting. I'm laughing because that happens quite often. And the man may actually want not to follow, come along with the wife. Yeah. And then when they get there, when we are contracting with them, we're talking and we're like, so what made you come? If it's the man who just came along with the wife, the man will say, you talk, it's you who told me to come. Say whatever it is you want to say. So it actually defeats the purpose of coming. So we normally say, agree among yourselves that you really need this therapy. Otherwise, it will not be very useful. Because one person will be forcing the other person to come. And when this woman comes, for example, she's come alone and she's married, we will be focusing on her as an individual. We shall not be discussing the person who is not with us. Because the person who has come is the client. So if there is need for us to to invite the other person, then we shall ask her. That we need to talk to the other person as well in the same environment. But somewhere along the way, we might also want to split them so that we hear their story, we hear this other person's story also independently, and eventually bring them together. And then we say, Would you like to share with them whatever you said, and of course in confidence? Yeah, then eventually it does work. However, what he's saying is true. It happens, especially when it's a woman asking the man to come.
When people go to, when people get to this industry, you know, most of them get into it single, and along the way, they get to marry. And once they marry, their families kind of become dysfunctional, or even when they join the industry after marrying, because of one of the things that Kiari mentioned. There are scenes you've got to do, you know, it's part of acting, but your spouse is very uneasy with it, you know. Do you handle such kinds of cases? Because if it is about showing love, it had better come from a built emotion. It's not easy to show love vaguely in the name of acting, and it's not a once-off thing. This is something you're going to be doing like 3 years. You know, so and so is your wife in this play, you know, and you've got to brace yourself with kind of love. Yes, how do you handle? What is the mistake that those actors and actresses make?
Again, thank you, Betty. Again, what happens here is that people lack what we call a self-awareness. You understand? And there is also that element of insecurity in both spouses or both partners. Do I know who I am? We ask that. Do you know who you are? What kind of person you are? Okay. If your spouse knows you and they are secure with you, then they don't have and they know the kind of work you do, they're not going to complain. It's just like a lawyer. You know, a lawyer will tell you every woman he is talking with is a client. What do you do? You know? Yes. Even if you find them in a pub, you say, that is my client, you know, we are prepared. You know, he will tell you that. So how will you police this? I mean, how do you, you know, those kind of things. But once you have gotten to know each other, Kibeti, sounds funny, right? Or even an MP for that matter, you say, these are my constituents, these are people who vote for me. What do you do? You know? So we are saying, if you get to know each other, you know the kind of work I do, yes. This is what it involves, yes. Are you okay with it? Yeah? Before you start getting it, you know, before you start creating complications in my life. This is what is earning me a living. This is what is putting bread on my table. This is what makes me happy eventually. Or ultimately, this is my happiness. Are you okay with it? Many times people get into relationships, especially marriage, for the wrong reasons. Oh, she's cute, she looks good when she's on the screen. That is cuteness. But beyond that, where is this? I mean, what is in this person? You know? So other than that, maybe that is her cuteness that has put her on that screen or on that stage. You now are getting very uncomfortable. Are you being for real?
You know, sometimes you even got it there after marrying.
Yeah.
And then you get on stage and you're given such a character and a part to play. You are not going to decline for the reasons that you are married, you know? And as you do your parts, it's not that you have forsaken faithfulness back at home. You are just doing your part as assigned and trying to get the best out of it, you know? And the demand is that you do it like real.
Like it's real.
Yes.
So just a minute. So what I'm saying is both partners, in event that they have gotten married while this person is acting or even before, we need to discuss. You know, let's talk and be aware of what I'm going or what I'm getting into. Are you okay with it? Right from the very beginning, please. So that somewhere along the way, you don't start feeling like suddenly things are just happening. They were there. I mean,
I don't know. I
just want to ask Ngindi, because these things happen. There is, especially when you're doing movies in the film industry, there are those out-of-town locations. There are those, there are certain way you go to a certain location 3 weeks, you come back to Nairobi, there are certain scenes, etc. Now, it's the same question about long-distance relationship. They actually tie together because this industry, just like the trucking and the transport industry with long distance, it also has a lot of long-distance relationship. Other than that, it also has what we call an odd working hours. This is a place where you have got the night scenes. Guys can go, you know, like you shoot some scenes during the day, then you have to remain on set because you've got a night scene, you know, the kind of those. When you talk about insecurities, it also not extends further to this generation, and I'm saying this politely. What is it that you did during your days? Because I'm trying to let the viewers know that you are celeb. Women is celeb wetu. Yeah. No, Betty said that. I mean, we need to recognize legends. You are a celeb. You are an actress of no mean repute. Now, what is it that affects such a relationship when there is this long distance gap? And Betty has said, more often than not, people get into marriage and relationship after they have already been, like they're already in the industry itself, not before. Yes.
What I think that is going to be, it's going to require such an answer, you know, that we must get clearly. And at this point, I want to take a break first. And then when we come back, we will need to talk about it, you know, so that everybody gets it exactly. Since there are those who have gotten in before and those who have gotten in after, and then they get there and they just realize, hey, I should not have married. You know, because this one fits the real wife that I really wanted. And they just get away with it, forgetting that at home, they already have someone. Okay, so viewer, we are talking about who counsels the entertainers. I am here with Guinea and Kiare. We are talking about this. Join us shortly. We are taking a short break.
Ni vipaji poetry loans. So ukiniona niko on run pale tao BS nikiharakisha kukuja GBS, it's because poetry loans is back. At this time it's back to inform you, to transform you, to educate you and inspire you.
Jamii, ndo maana sometimes me who laugh at my failures ndo ni motivate success. Ni Dante Spy the poet hapa hivi. Tuko vipaji poetry lounge live at GBS.
Best Chef na Spice ya Kari no wanda alikuwa mkali. Vipaji Poetry Lounge
at all social media platforms, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, tuko everywhere. Vipaji Poetry Lounge, GBS. Stay tuned.
The woman is burdened with so much, such that they don't have time for themselves.
If you don't go after what you want, there's going to be hurt, there's going to be disappointment, there's going to be regret, there's going to be let down.
I love people.
People will always have a view. They will always have an opinion.
Whether you like it or not.
It's always there.
People will put you in a shame box.
You have to love yourself first.
I'm not that person.
It should come from deep conviction. And I'm talking about conviction. I'm not talking about emotional giving.
Then that should pose a big problem.
A man won't handle that. They will just run.
Families break. Marriages don't exist anymore.
There's so many people out there pretending like they don't have the problem. Pretending like their relationship is not on the rock.
What was that?
That's nonsense.
Get lost.
No. I think...
The woman is burdened with so much, such that they don't have time for themselves.
If you don't go after what you want, there's going to be hurt, there's going to be disappointment, there's going to be regret, there's going to be let down.
I love people.
People will always have a view. They will always have an opinion.
Whether you like it or not.
It's always there.
People will put you in a shame box.
You have to love yourself first.
I'm not that person.
It should come from deep conviction. And I'm talking about conviction. I'm not talking about emotional giving.
Then that should pose a big problem.
A man won't handle that. They will just run.
Families break. Marriages don't exist anymore.
There's so many people out there pretending like they don't have the problem. Pretending like their relationship is not on the rock.
What was that?
That's nonsense.
Get lost.
No. I think...
The woman is burdened with so much, such that they don't have time for themselves.
If you don't go after what you want, there's going to be hurt, there's going to be disappointment, there's going to be regret, there's going to be let down.
I love people.
People will always have a view. They will always have an opinion.
Whether you like it or not.
It's always there.
People will put you in a shame box.
You have to love yourself first.
I'm not that person.
It should come from deep conviction, and I'm talking about conviction. I'm not talking about emotional giving.
Then that should pose a big problem.
A man won't handle that. He will just run.
Families break. Marriages don't exist anymore.
There's so many people out there pretending like they don't have the problem. Pretending like their relationship is not on the rock.
What was that?
That's nonsense.
Get lost.
No. I think...
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back, viewer. So who counsels the entertainer? Before we went on a break, Gina, there was this that was to you. This is what has happened. Relationships and dysfunctional families. You know, artists and being celebs, people like to follow, you know, back home. What is happening in your family? Who are you hanging out with? We find you in Java, in this place, with somebody else. And you had said earlier that, you know, when you find a lawyer with a woman, all of them are his clients. He always says, this is my client. So what happens to the entertainers, you know, because a lot of people look at them, look at their dressing, look at the way they have groomed themselves, and they feel this guy is really hot and this chick is really hot, and they just want to hang around. And so we find you, do they have that space and freedom to also hang out, and what should be their limit?
I will just say one word, but I think the rest I'll ask Kiara to tell us because it's been in this longer.
Just like
it's also, yeah, I'm more active than I have. We shall be getting first-hand experience. So what happens is that, let's imagine now this crew is traveling to Moyale or wherever they are going to shoot. And there are these scenes where people are supposed to be expressing emotion, you know, maybe so much love and stuff like that. You must act like it is so real. Like Kiara gave an example of kissing, or maybe it's just pecking. But your spouse somewhere is looking at you and like, even if you are acting, you did it. Because it's true you did it.
Yes.
That is the truth.
Yes.
But what was the emotion attached to this? They forget that you are actually just acting. But on the other side of it, there is what we also call, what do we call this? What do we call this? It's like instant intimacy. You know, like the opportunity has availed itself. We are very far away now. We are in Moyale, we are in Mandera and stuff like that. It is okay for us to have it, and you know, itaishia to happen. I mean, that's the end of it. I don't know how you managed, Kiara. Maybe you can tell us.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Well,
as Kiara tells us, you could also prepare to tell us.
Yes.
Now that you are a counseling and psychologist.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, let me hear from you.
So, of course, being a sex therapist too also helps. But, well, now, there's something Guinea said about showing emotion. The emotion of anger, the emotion of love. They are they're parallax, totally. And when you are required to show them on screen, it builds from the inside outward. So when you are, people say in character, it's a rehearsed character. You build into it. That's why you say you rehearsed for 2 days, this take 1, you know, such kind of thing. It is inevitable. It's human. At times you genuinely, because now you go past just looking at the beautiful smell of Betty to her character. So when you build that over a period of time, you actually start noticing other things about Ngini. Okay? I was looking through her eyes, I saw her dimples. So see, I've not seen that before. But it's out of the character. Number 2. Stop giving that look. Number 2. Number 2. Number 2. There's something Ngini mentioned about self-awareness. And in relationship, this has to be defined over a period of time. What is the security status of your relationship? And
Back at home.
Back at home. Most importantly, before you go, before you travel for those out of town locations, I will want to whisper this nisipigwe na wanaume wenzangu. at times we create crisis at home. Tunakosana. So that
Deliberately, intentionally.
Yes. It's created within 72.
Wow.
Kama tunaenda, if you're going on Saturday, by Tuesday start fuming and snorting around. Yeah, so creating an easy intention. So that even the woman tells me, we kwanza enda, give me a break. Go. Nasema, that's passport stamped. Moyale, here we come. Now, so that's two. Number three, and hope my counselor is not hearing this much, to put in the notes. Number three, there are things that happen out on location. Like we went, tunasemanga ilikuwa usiku mbaya. That bad night that I was escorting you, then things happened. And we use that very politely and deliberately. Usiku mbaya, it happened. So, and we console ourselves, because it happened once, it can happen a second and third time.
Yes.
Less guilty.
I get you.
Less guilty.
I get
now,
you.
the point now becomes after return, because that's when I'm getting to now. So after you return back, you're out of location, you're back to your house, the disconnect now is now what leads now to us going for counseling. Because now, kwa kifupi, una nyumba ndogo pahali. Thank you.
You see, in Guinea, this is exactly what it is on the ground. And you have had it from, the horse's mouth. You have had it. That is exactly what happens. Now, that one it happens secretly. It is something that they hide, but you can see it is revealed, it happens. There are those that happen so real and live and exposed and everywhere. And now that's where we pick it and you're like, hey, this is how so-and-so lives, the media personnel, these performing guys. People are following their lives and that's what they see. I am so happy to see that they speak for everyone else, Even other people in other industries do these things, but we see them live and real from you screen guys. And so I wonder what kind of counseling these guys need, whether it is and sometimes I think that even if you do it it may not work. Humans are, okay, don't do this, okay, I can do that. You know that I love you, I'm here, I'm coming back. It's just acting. You said, much as it was just acting, it already happened. It happened. And I'm going to be doing that with days, and the long distance, the long distance, this is what life is going to be. It's always going to be me and you. When I go back home, life is going to be so strange, Kiari, before Guinea talks about that, look at the things that you guys went through. All of you, did your families stand? Were your families,
One, I also be honest with you. Most families shake. They crack, because the truth of the matter is insecurities are developed over a period of time. Before you have what is called secure relationship, it's built over a period of time. The long distances don't help, because now they build on the cracks. Number two, a lot of our relationship, a lot of the relationship that comes up, also this is post-event. And the post-event means what happens to us, what happens to the industry. And the industry here, I'm getting more specific. I'm getting to the entertainment, I'm getting to the music, I'm getting to, all to creative arts, the artists, the graffiti. One thing that is common denominator is the stability of your relationship back home is also dependent on what happens when you get back from set.
But you see, you can pretend.
The pretense doesn't last long.
This is what people do. This is what people do, Kiere. There are people who can get away with it real well, and you will not know. There are people who are not even actors and actresses. They don't show up anywhere on the screen, but this is their life. I mean, if someone is a cheat, they're a cheat. And I believe Guinea will agree with me on this. But there are those times that you are compelled, You have gone out to that chick. For you are the husband, you're just acting. But this woman will not stop nagging on you, will not stop probing you to do stuff, you know. It is not that it is your intention. So when you come back home, you know, when I was young, I had this verse from the Bible. I'm happy that Ngini quoted the Bible. And it says that stolen waters are very sweet, you know. So when you just sneak and then someone offers you some kind of strange water and you take it and you realize, wow, this is what I've been missing. You keep on flowing into it. And like we said, it will happen a second and a third and a fourth time. What is needed, Ngini?
Like I said, you need to know who you are, you know. Once you've gotten to know the kind of person you are, you'll be able to draw boundaries. Understand? And anyway, just like Kerry was talking about distance, they say distance makes the heart fond of somebody else. Did you get that?
Distance makes the heart fond of somebody else.
Yes.
I think I agree.
Yes. Because now I'm away from you, for example, 4 months, and Kiara is with me every other day. I know when you are with your spouse, you know, there are certain times that relationship kind of gets stylish, you know, like we are used. And now this guy is spicing up my life. He's telling me things, even if it's just in the moment of acting. He'll be telling me things that make me feel very good. You understand? So by and by, one gets attracted or pulled towards this person.
So what are they supposed to do? Because this is job, this is work.
And that is why I'm saying, once you know the kind of person you are, it doesn't matter the kind of job you're doing. You learn to draw a line. Even us in counseling, there are clients who get attracted to us and they're like, you know, we are taught how to listen. And you listen keenly. And you are paying attention and, you know, supporting this person and showing empathy. That is something they don't see at home, because immediately they reach the door, the wife is like, and you've come late. I don't do that to my clients.
Did you see my shopping list?
Yes. How was it? What happened? You know, how would you like us to support you? That is now me talking to my client. And this man is smitten. My nephew likes using that word, smitten. So this guy is smitten. And he's like, oh my God, I wish I could get this. And they suggest, is it okay for us to have coffee?
Yes, yes.
But you see, I'm working. So I'm able to say no.
Let's talk about the finances before we are finally out of time.
Yes.
The finances. These guys get a boom, you know, and they go to the showroom and get a 0 mileage Mercedes, you know, something they have no idea how to maintain. It's just because of the peer pressure or the society expectations and demands, someone just boof with a Mercedes, you know, or a sports house, and it's here. You have no idea what a brake pad costs for such a car. And there you are. Tomorrow you don't have money. You're supposed to now move from La Vie to wherever.
Yes.
What happens that these people never think about these things?
Like I said,
is it natural?
Societal expectations.
Okay.
And some of them get into this, you know, they are shifting from a very probably, let's say middle class to a very high class, suddenly.
Yes.
No preparation for it.
Yes.
Some of them say, I didn't see it coming. It has just happened suddenly.
Yes.
So the person is kind of mesmerized. They are in a moment of confusion and excitement, and they want to prove to the world that mimi now have landed. Can you see the machine I have?
Yes.
So what happens is that they don't learn what we call financial management.
They don't
have
learn.
That. They don't even have it to start with.
Yes. Now, Chungu cha Jamii seeks to correct such kinds of things that are already happening in society that we need to get rid of, that we need to shape, you know, that we need to control. Yes. So what are they supposed to do?
Even before, like I said, please. I wish they could even learn Chungu cha Jamii. I'm really liking this. Now you've come to act, you've come to work here. Let us have a pre-session. Pray. We are talking to you about the likely things that you are likely to experience. Anxiety is top-notch. Depression is likely to come. Financial management, you'll have so much money today, tomorrow you'll not have it. How are you spending the little you have? Okay? Don't be kichwangumu because you've been there before, you are that good actress or actor, you don't want to be auditioned. Please learn to accept that you're also still in a learning process. And learn that these jobs are also sporadic. Now, while you are there, we still talk to you and tell you, man, we told you this and that is likely to happen, and here you are. Somebody is telling you you're beautiful, another person is telling you you're beautiful. They have said the same lines to so many other people. It is not that you're any different. Understand?
And some of them dislike you, and some of them like you.
Yes.
In social media, you are having both sides, and you're supposed to handle it just as a person.
Be sober.
Whose responsibility is it Is it yourself? Is it your employer to get you this? Because if I do not have, like a child, for example, if a child does not have that shaped path for them to walk, they will go however and wherever, you know. And you are an adult, especially a media person or this performing artist who is all over there in the big screens. It is so difficult for them to get out of themselves, to spend their money, to seek for a counselor, because no one feels that I am not okay. When you have the money and everyone is liking you and saying, wow, wow, go, go, go. I mean, how do you feel inside of you that you have a problem, that you need to seek help?
One, I'll say honestly, I think partly it's also the responsibility of the employer, because they've been in this game long enough, they understand what it takes. So they could be having occasional sessions for them. Like once in a month, we are talking about this. Even among yourselves in a meeting, what is somebody doing, what is it they're doing that is kind of out of line? What support do they need? And if there is need, again, you can engage the services of a psychologist to come and talk to you people how to manage stress. Because stress also builds and builds and builds, and you know, it starts exhibiting so many other symptoms. For example, people start stopping to come to work, or they are there but they are so lethargic, they don't have the energy to work. People are forever complaining about headaches, backaches and stuff like that. Those are symptoms and signs of stress. Can we try to manage this occasionally? Because this is not a one-off thing. You know, in counseling we say we are always in the process of becoming. Even if Kiara is talking about what happened before, he can't sit here comfortably and say I know this. He doesn't know. What he did yesterday, he's not doing today. And tomorrow he'll be a totally different person. So we are always in the process of becoming. And therefore, this becomes a continuous process. We occasionally say, after every 2 months, after every 1 month, and when there is need, we sit down and talk as a group.
Unfortunately, we get to see these things when these guys are out of screen. Who follows after the screen kind of life? Because that is what puts them down. You know, when they're up there and showing up, I mean, everything is fine. Yes, Carrie?
I think let me just help Ngini to answer that. She has mentioned something about the employer, and I'd like to say thank you. The employer, increasingly now, because as people say, even the business dynamics change. Right now, the employer of before used to go to Kazi, if you're okay, you go, you do your stuff, you go home. There was no follow-up, there was no, your contract ended as soon as the job ended. Now, increasingly, we are also building what is called interpersonal relationship. That is why nowadays, we are not being referred to as employer-employee. We refer each other as team leader, team players. We don't have those personnel managers. You see, during Guinea's time, now we have we have nicknamed them. They're called HR, human resource. You have put a human face to them. Now, and Guinea is laughing for another reason. Now, now the same way about counseling. Counseling should be factored as part of the production costs. By this I mean, when you are starting a production in July, part of the cost, the way you say transport cost, what cost, wardrobe cost, catering cost, there should be a budget line called counseling cost. That means it's a process that will start with your production.
I agree with you. And Guinea, that brings me to, I know we are out of time, but that brings me to, you know, the children artists, you know. I should be talking about this maybe someday tomorrow. But when I look at those kids, there's so much pressure on them. They need to perform in school. They need to be the peers that are seen by their friends outside. And we also want to see them on the screen. They also just have 24 hours in a day like every other child who has time to play and do homework and go swimming and do all that. They probably don't have that. And when they show up at a place, everyone is like, oh, that's Baha, that's Almasi. And there's such a high expectation on them. And some point when this gig is done, you find them now in drugs. You find them now unable to perform in school. You find them now not realizing that education is so important because they handled money when they were just 10. Yeah. How do you want to tell them that getting 90 in mathematics is going to earn you 100K? It doesn't make sense when they're able to do 200 now without the mathematics. Yes.
I was just fearing that we may not mention that. We have child actors, okay? Some people start very early. In fact, when you ask them, like now, if you ask me, when did you start, I may not remember because I started when I was very young. So what happens is people forget the emotional aspect of this person, this child. They are focusing on performance, stage, nini. They even forget that this child is a child. So these kids skips a lot of developmental stages, and now they get into the world of adults. And when they are acting, you know, they'll be shouted at just the way someone will shout at me. You know, they will not be treated with kids' gloves because you're acting, you're making money, and it's unfortunate. So this kid, after some time, because their esteem has been punctured also, they will come out of there with a very low self-esteem because they were corrected. Do this, and initially, you know, they were glorified, like you're saying. She's good. She's, you know, she does this and that and that. Even back in school, they always may be very good performers because in some places we call them gifted children, these prodigies, you know. But with the time, they fade away. You know, nobody cares. So when they come back to the society, people are looking at them as failures. See, this one, we thought you were this and that and that. So he becomes a misfit.
And he cannot fit in a classroom.
He can't fit in a classroom now. And he's not as good as he was before because he was denied this. Developmental stages were skipped. And then this person now at 40 is beginning to have like a 15-year-old, and people are like, what happened to Kiari, you know? They become what we call fixated, you know. They are trying to live that which they skipped. And they can't because now society is looking at a 40-year-old person, behave like a 40-year-old person. They can't. So what do? They opt to take drugs just to cope with this.
Yeah, and to cover. Oh, so sad, so sad, so sad. Ooh,
so again, counseling from the beginning, pre, during, and after. We are still available.
I wish we had a producer to actually get that and put it as part of the budget, like immediately, because it is really much required. It's very essential.
Hashtag if you became producer.
Essential.
Yes,
Parting shots.
Yes.
I will start with Kiari. I know I should start with the lady.
Hashtag, it is okay not to be okay.
It's okay not to be okay.
Hashtag, it's okay not to be okay.
All right.
Number 2, if you're a producer, because counseling, it's now being considered part of your everyday living. And counseling is not necessarily, as people say in a class. I go a bit spiritual, as people say, you don't need to go to a church to read the Bible. You see, spirituality starts and grows with you. Even counseling starts with what is called self-awareness. It starts with you.
It's everyday life.
Thank you.
Guinea, you know, you're parting short. I know, you know, people here, they're going to see a psychologist. They're like, Sina shida, I don't have a problem. Yes, why do you guys really scare?
Please embrace counseling. Everybody, including me, goes for counseling. I go for counseling. So it is not embarrassing. In fact, when you go for counseling, you are a strong person. Hakuna aibu, especially the men in the house. Please seek counseling. Ladies, we talk and, you know, somehow eases our tension. Secondly, the entertainment industry. Please, please, please. Learn to have a meeting with me. Me is yourself. What am I experiencing? And talk. Talk. Talk to Kiare, talk to Betty. They will help you. Because we say, a problem half shared is a problem half solved. Seek professional help. We are available. In fact, we have so many currently in Kenya. Yeah, engage us.
Wow. I hope this message got down to the entertainers, both the high and the mighty and the very low, because it is essential. There's nothing to be ashamed about it. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. This was really good. It was very educative. I hope we took notes back there. We're going to be revising soon. Thank you also, viewer, for watching this episode at Chungu cha Jamii. My name is Betty. I have been your host. See you next time.
Ni vipaji poetry loans. So ukiniona niko on run pale tao BS nikiharakisha kukuja GBS, it's because poetry loans is back. At this time, it's back to inform you, to transform you, to educate you and inspire you.
Najiamini, ndo maana sometimes me who laugh at my failures ndo ni motivate success. Ni Dante Spy the poet hapa hivi. tuko Vipaji Poetry Lounge live at GBS.
Best Chef na Spice ya Kari no wanda alikuwa mkali. Vipaji Poetry Lounge
at all social media platforms, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, tuko everywhere. Vipaji Poetry Lounge, GBS. Stay tuned.